We've only gone and won in London, haven't we?
Comes for Pablo Hernandez, and Pablo Hernandez scores a goal for Leeds United! Oh!
Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Today's video is going to be another match reaction, and it's going to be to beating Fulham 2-1 at Craven Cottage. We've won in London. 16 games. QPR 2017 was the last time that we won in London. It's a bit of a mental record, but that is gone now. That is gone, and we can actually move on. Start beating some other teams in London, hopefully. But yeah, good performance today. Overall, I think we deserve to win the game. Fulham had their chances, but if you don't take them, you don't win football matches. And I think that's been the story of their season, really. A bit similar to Brighton. They've had chances, and they've had chances to win games. And if you don't take them, you don't win games. It's simple as that. Other than that, though, I thought they were good. I thought Anguissa was good for them, as he always is. I think if they are to go down, and I honestly don't know if they will, if they can put a run together, I think they might overtake Newcastle, because out of those three teams, Newcastle, Brighton, and Fulham, Newcastle seem the only ones that are really down and out. But having said that, we're talking about Leeds today because we've won in London. Bamford was fit to start after a bit of a worry last week when he got a bit of a dead leg against Rudiger, but he was fit to start and lasted about 76 minutes. He said himself that he wasn't running to his full potential, but he got himself on the score sheet, and that's all you can ask for a striker, really. He linked up the play as usual and assisted Rafinha's goal, so fantastic performance from 80% fit Bamford. 2 minutes into the game, something that I'd mentioned in this week's Leeds Lately website article came to fruition, really. I'd mentioned in the Fulham preview on the website that I've been talking about Diego Llorente a lot recently, and how he makes those passes that split the two defenders that often other teams don't really expect your centre-back to be playing that against them. And 2 minutes in, Llorente played a lovely ball between the two centre-backs and split them in half. It didn't result in a goal, but it was just an early warning sign for them that we can get in behind them, and fairly easily, to be honest. 8 minutes in, I jumped off the sofa and I screamed and I shouted, and then VAR kicked in. So, if you weren't watching the game, the ball gets crossed across the box. Ayling jumps at the back post and loops a lovely, accurate header over Areola into the back stick, and he slides on his knees in the corner flag. He gets his hair out, his luscious locks, his godlike mane, and he does his guitar celebration, much as he did with that wonderful volley in the Championship. And then VAR rule it out. Ooh, that's a tough one to take. VAR ruining the joy of football. If the linesman had got it wrong and not flagged, which he didn't, fair enough. If he'd have flagged, there wouldn't have been the need to even go and celebrate, because you'd have known that it wasn't a goal. And to not celebrate a goal is just something that you don't want to see in football. 18 minutes in, I just thought Alioski is a mad bastard with his passes. I don't know what he was doing. That one where he just hoofed it roughly in Mellier's direction. Like, go on, sunshine, deal with that. Deal with that. He just whacked it. Luckily, it didn't result in a goal, but Jesus, Alioski this game. He's had some alright games this season. Definitely attacking wise he's okay, because obviously primarily he was a winger. But some of the passes he was trying to make and get out of situations today were terrible. But I mean, I've mentioned before, he's got that character that what did he say? Harrison Reed made a tackle on him and he went, "Careful." You don't want that mad Macedonian man saying things like that to you. In the 27th minute, Meslier made a world-class save. Ball dropped to Josh Madja, the on loan Nigerian striker from Bordeaux. That's a mouthful. And he turned and banged a shot from really short range after a ball had been bobbling around in the box off a corner. And Meslier, point blank, dives up, whacks it away. None of that, get out. Class save. Very, very good save. 2 minutes after that, world-class save from Meslier. Jack Harrison is on the left-hand side of the box and he belts a low ball into the box on the half volley, and Bamford runs across his defender. So the defender's here. Bamford runs across behind him and just full-on shins it into the goal. I didn't notice at the time. In his post-match he said he shinned it, but they all count, don't they? They all bloody count. It was a great finish. Even if he didn't mean to put it there, he should have just said that he meant it, because it was a very good finish right in the bottom corner. But the key point there is that he did get across his man behind, I think it was Aina or Tosin, I can't quite remember which one it was, but he got across his man, and that's poor defending from the Fulham defender. He should have stepped out and got to that ball, or just checked his shoulder essentially. But we don't care, we take those. Bamford scored another goal, 14 for the season. It's fantastic. You wouldn't, like he said in his post-match, you would not have expected that at the start of the season. I mean, what did he get last season? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he got 16 last season in the entire season, where the Championship obviously is more games, and we obviously had more chances in the Championship because we were the best team in the division. And he's already scored 14 goals, so if he can get to imagine if he can get to 20 by the end of the season. 6 goals in 11 games? Might be a bit too much to ask, but he could do it. Imagine 20 goals in a season for Bamford on his return to the Premier League. As mentioned before, I in the 31st minute, I just noticed again Alioski constantly playing hospital passes. We won't go into that again, but like I said, he just kept playing hospital balls into his teammates. 38th minute brought their equaliser to Bamford's goal. It was a corner, it came in. I don't think anybody's mentioned enough that it should have been a foul on Ayling. What happens is Anderson and Ayling are tussling in the box. Fair enough, 50-50. They're both trying to tussle and grab each other's shirts. But what happens is Anderson gets a hand, an elbow like this, or an arm like this. Imagine my arm's the other way around, on Ayling like that. So he's pushing him away, and the other hand's on his other shoulder, edging him away. So he's like this, and he basically just pulls him out of the way and taps in what is a volley, really. He's pulling him out of the way and he's got him by the head effectively. I mean, it's like a wrestling move. So, I mean, where do we draw the line? We should look at that on VAR and say, well, that's too much. He's properly manhandled the defender there, so that's why he scored. I don't think the defending from our corners this game was particularly convincing other than that, but Meslier tried his best to be commanding and come out and claim corners and punch them and stuff, but yeah, I don't think that one should have stood, but they could have easily scored other goals in this game, of course. In the 40th minute, we had another bit of shambolic defending. I don't know what we were doing, it was just bobbling around in the box, and then it came out to the edge, and Meslier makes another really good save from an Anguissa shot. But yeah, Meslier had a very good game today. Very good. At half-time, Josh Maja came off and Mitrovic came on, and as Leeds fans were all thinking, oh God, not again, not bloody Mitrovic. He scored, I think, 3 in the last 4 times we've played them. He always seems to bag against us, but today, as well as ending the London run, we ended the conceding to Mitrovic run, which was also nice because he is a bit of a shithouse. 54th minute. After half time, we'd had a good sustained bit of pressure, and we kept getting corners whipped in. Never really made anything of them, but the fact that we were in those positions was promising. And then you had that Harrison chance where he came from the right hand side and he took it round 2 of their players, Anguissa I think it was, and maybe Aina. either way, terrible defending from them. It was so half-arsed trying to win the ball off him. He didn't do anything particularly skillful. He just took it one way and then went through the middle of both of them, and neither of them challenged him. It was outside the box. Harrison ran into the box. Obviously, he'd got a bit carried away with the fact that he'd just done 2 players and had a shot from what was really an unrealistic angle to score from. But Bamford was waiting in the centre, and he probably should have picked him out, but as we'd won the game, I won't dwell on that too much. 58th minute comes around, and a low ball is played across our box, and Ademola Lookman, who I mentioned also in the preview about how Calvin would deal with him, he just completely fluffs his lines. He slices the ball in half. He slices the ball so much that he doesn't even make contact with it, really. It just rolls over his left foot and goes out the other side, which was very lucky because we put ourselves in a situation where really we should have conceded there. But yeah, it's a good job that he's put his boots on the wrong feet today, because that could have been 2-1 to them. In the same minute, we break down their end. Good counter-attack. Bamford comes across onto the ball, and he just plays one of those little deft through balls into Rafinha. And he said in his post-match actually that he was trying to play the ball as close to the defender as possible because he knew that Rafinha had the pace to get in front of him. So if you imagine if Rafinha's running through and they're neck and neck like this, if Rafinha gets to the ball first, he's going to be in front of this defender directly. So the defender can't make any sort of challenge on him or it's a penalty. So it's a very, to think that much into it as for Bamford in that short amount of time is very clever, and it shows that a level of footballing brain that you don't always expect from a striker. A lot of the time you expect that level of analysis on your passes from midfield players who are really creative, but Bamford to think about something like that in such a snappy passage of play was very good from him. So yeah, he passes it through to Rafinha, and Rafinha still has a lot to do with the ball. He's got Tosin on one side of him, and he's got the fullback, I can't remember who was playing there, it might have been Robinson, on the other side of him. And he takes it from his left foot, puts it onto his right foot, and then slots it in the bottom right near post corner as Areola's coming towards him in a matter of about a second. I thought the chance was going to go, to be honest. I thought when Bamford played it through to him, he didn't have enough time, and there was 3 players on him, and I just didn't think he was going to manage to score. But he continues to surprise me week on week, Rafinha. And he was excellent again today, especially with his set piece deliveries. That free kick that he whipped in that Llorente and Struijk were trying to get to was such a tasty ball, right into that corridor of uncertainty, which is exactly where they tell you to put it, and very good. In the 63rd minute, I saw some top class shithousery from Calvin Phillips. He's been fouled. He's about to take a free kick, but he bends down, wasting time, tying his shoelace, and he must be tying his shoelace for about 20 seconds. And then I'm like, right, he stood up, he's about to take the free kick. Then he just runs off and lets Ayling take the free kick instead. So I thought that was top class shithousery, especially as they were all moaning at him for how long he was taking. He never even took it. Aina then came off for Tete, and a couple of minutes later, Bamford was replaced by Click, and that meant that Roberts went up front and Click went into that centre midfield role, as you'd expect. We had a few more chances before the end of the game. We had the one where Rafinha played in Dallas on the right hand side and he just slotted it low past the left post on another day. That could have been a goal. And then we also had the Alioski chance, not one of the ones that he spooned over the bar, but one of the ones that it came onto him on the half volley and he fired it across and it was saved. But he probably needs about 3 or 4 of them in a game to get one on target, and to be fair, a lot of the time he actually manages to somehow get 3 or 4 of those types of chances in a game. And in the 92nd minute, Koch came on for Roberts, which I thought was very good and very promising to see, because obviously Koch's been injured for months now after he did his knee in the Chelsea game, and he has come back and he's been in the 23s for a couple of games, and Obviously, he's going to do well in the 23s because he's a top-class player. But it's nice to see him getting in the first team squad, getting a few minutes under his belt, even if it's 3 minutes to hold out a game. And actually, I think when he came on, I think he came on in midfield. I think they put him on in midfield, and he was just there to win headers and try and, you know, like break down their play, not let them have any last-minute counters, and just give it to one of the wide players or click and just get them to go forward with it. But yeah, not long after that, finished 2-1, our first win in London in 3 years, and class. Pretty good, aren't we? 39 points I think we're on now. Plenty enough to stay up, and we've got, 11 games left of the season. So I think if we can get a few more wins on the board, to be honest. I think we're good enough to get a few more wins. We've got an awful run of games in April against Liverpool, City and Spurs, I think, all in the same month, which is horrendous. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at the end of that month, if we've picked up any points at all from those games. But that's going to be it for this video. Obviously, it's an international break next week, so there'll still be a blog on Wednesday as usual, and next week I will probably do some videos on the England games. If Calvin plays, it'll be an analysis of Calvin's performance, because obviously this is the Leeds channel, he's the Leeds player, he's a Leeds man through and through. If Calvin plays, it'll be a Calvin Phillips analysis. If not, I'm a fan of England, I'm a fan of Leeds, I'm a fan of Leeds more, but I'll do some analysis on more of a reaction to the England game, and maybe talk about some other things like why Bamford wasn't included. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. And I can't believe we've bloody won in London.